Welcome to everyone who's joining the webinar on AWS and LaunchDarkly de-risking releases with guarded releases. My name is Stephen Crowley, and I'm a Senior Solutions Engineer at LaunchDarkly. I'm joined today by Christian or Maciel, Partner Sales Solution Architect at AWS. Christian, would you like to say hello?
Yeah, hello, Stephen. Thanks so much for this opportunity to give a little speech with you today.
Great to have you here. Today, we'll talk about how LaunchDarkly and AWS empower software development teams to confidently manage releases and mitigate risk using LaunchDarkly guarded releases and AWS DevOps best practices. Today, we will cover progressive rollouts, minimizing risk by gradually introducing new features, targeted releases, test outcomes before global deployment by first delivering updates to specific user segments. We'll talk about proactive monitoring, that idea of guarded rollouts, so we can catch issues early with real-time performance tracking, and also real-time rollbacks using LaunchDarkly guarded releases. For those of you who are not familiar with LaunchDarkly, LaunchDarkly is a comprehensive feature management platform that equips software teams to proactively reduce the risk of shipping bad software and AI applications while accelerating their release velocity. We help the most innovative companies, including 25% of the Fortune 500, to release software faster, reduce service outages, and ensure users get a bug-free software experiences. We put some resources that are under the Docs tab, so you can see those there. And before we get started, feel free to add your comments in the chat to the right of the stage and submit your questions in a Q&A tab. We'll get them answered at the end of the webinar. So we'll definitely get them there. We might get them beforehand, but we're aiming to get them at the end. There is a giveaway for this event, so all attendees of this webinar who reside in the UK and EU are eligible to receive one of the 10 £50 Amazon gift cards. Winners will be sent an email to confirm their win and claim the reward. For more information, reach out to events@launchdarkly.com. So now that I've gotten the introduction done, the agenda that we have here is the introductions. So again, Stephen Crowley, Solutions Engineer, and Cristiano. Cristiano will talk about app modernization from AWS DevOps best practices, and then we'll hand it back to myself, who will cover guided rollouts with a product demo, and then just talk about the metrics that are best for our guided rollouts product, as well as a Q&A. So without further ado, Cristiano, would you like to kick off?
Sure, let's go. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for the opportunity to be here today to talk a little bit about app modernization. Just a little quick intro about the topic. Thanks, Stephen. Well, my name is Cristiano. I'm a PSSA, what we call Partner Solutions, a Partner Sales Solutions Architect at AWS. And the idea is talk a little bit about the view of AWS about modernization, right? Modernization for us, it's a process of transformation of an infrastructure or an application into cloud native services. And when we talk about a modern application, we're talking not only about new architectures or the technologies that we are using, but also a combination of these new architectures and these new technologies with software delivery practice and with operational processes. But why we do that, right? Next slide, Stephen, please. So the idea behind modernization is to meet the business demand, right? So in business, we have the priorities to be agile, to have speed, to deliver more in a fastest way, to do more innovation with less resources, to perform more and to be more scalable and resilient while being efficient and cost optimized, right? So that's why we need to modernize to meet these business priorities. Okay, next slide, please, Stephen. And we know that to move to a cloud environment, it's a journey, right? First, we pick our legacy applications, we move it to the cloud, and we already have some benefits from it. Like we don't have to manage data centers or infrastructure and pay support for the hardware, the gear, etc. And then our total cost of ownership will be improved, right? Or will be lower. When we modernize our application, we get or we maximize the benefits from the cloud, right? We don't have to think about the infrastructure anymore. We just have to take care about the layer of our application and how we deliver our services to our customers. So since we don't have to think about this, how to manage all this infrastructure and these lower layer components, we have more time to focus on innovation and from agility, and then to get more outcomes from our application or our services, right? But we have to be a little bit careful about how we modernize our applications. When we look backwards, we were talking about having a few releases per month of a new feature, of a new software, and we were talking about managing tens or hundreds of virtual machines. And now we were talking about having maybe hundreds of new releases per month. And we are talking about having thousands of containers or serverless resources to serve these applications. So if you don't take care, this complexity could drive you to a higher risk and lower availability of your application, with a burden in terms of operation. So that's why we, as AWS, we take care of all the infrastructure, but we have partners like LaunchDarkly who helps you to take care of this orchestration for these new applications. Okay, and I'd like to pass my microphone back to Stephen so he can show you how the LaunchDarkly do that.
Thanks. Thanks, Cristiano.
You're welcome.
So yeah, speaking of agility and innovation, my slides will focus on that quite a bit. So the way the way people are working these days is that you have your end users, you have your, potentially hundreds of containers or application services in general, and you're regularly releasing when using LaunchDarkly or in modern development where you have that agility and innovation that Cristiano was mentioning. So often you'll have the case where if using LaunchDarkly, you'll have feature toggles that you're slowly releasing to different services over time. So every time you're releasing a feature, you can see that it's a different application service. It's there. End users are happy, and then suddenly you get a problem. So maybe you're in a company that's exceeding the DORA metrics and you're releasing every day. Some companies are releasing less frequently, but I'll cover that later. But this is the idea that you're releasing many features a week, which is where companies want to get to keep up with market demands. But then you have a problem. In traditional observability tools, you spend a lot of time going in, trying to figure out which of these changes caused that issue. So you have this long list of changes and you're wondering which one has caused the problem. And then you have to go through your observability tool, look for that needle in a haystack that correlates which release caused this problem. So that is what this is talking about. So when using LaunchDarkly, we zoom in on the release using Release Guardian or guarded releases or guarded rollouts, and we remediate issues before APM is aware. So the way LaunchDarkly works with guarded rollouts is every time you're releasing an individual flag, like in that previous slide, We are monitoring the impact on your end users, and if there is a problem, we can configure the alert to disable or roll back a feature, or at least notify you to decide which way you want to go and point out where the problem was. So that is how LaunchDarkly protects your changes using guarded releases. So we are talking to a lot of companies at the moment that are adopting guarded releases. So, before guarded rollouts, there's the idea of pushing a change, leave it for a day, and then get alerts during your downtime. And essentially, after dinner, you're staying up late to fix an incident because all these problems are happening after you happened, and then you're crabby the next day. Whereas after using guarded rollouts, you can push a change to production, leave for the day, see that there was an auto rollback, because we will let you know because you've configured it that way, and assign it for a ticket for next week so that you can resolve the actual bug and do another deploy with the remediated code and keep your sleep. So it's all about that before and after. So we do massively assist customers with their mean time to detection, because every time you're doing a guarded rollout to that 1%, 20%, whatever your strategy may be, that if there is an issue, we will notify you and highlight that. In terms of mean time to resolution, this is a benefit that customers have been using LaunchDarkly for years, that if there is a problem, the rollback is just turning off that flag. And then, of course, the benefits as well to yourself from an emotional level is that you're able to sleep at night, because there are a lot of companies that still do deployments in the middle of the night. And if there is a problem, they have to stay awake until the morning to resolve it. So that is before and after. We have worked with many companies on this. One such company is Ally. And speaking of sleep, one of the quotes from the customer there is, did we get ourselves out of nights and weekends? Largely yes, meaning that they're able to do deployments and spend less time on the weekend doing out of hours deployments. But LaunchDarkly allows them to progressively roll out changes to target cohorts to minimize blast radius, which I'll show you next. They're able to set and monitor performance thresholds like errors and latency in real time. They're able to detect application issues and instantly recover auto rollbacks. And they're able to link bugs to flags and correlate metrics for streamlined troubleshooting with error monitoring. So that's the idea of the guarded rollouts. I am moving towards a demo right now, and I'll put it into the chat, the actual web URL. But if you want to see this happening in real time, you can scan this QR code, but I'll put the link into the chat as well. It's just a GitHub Pages web app. So let me just get the actual link and I'll put it into the chat so people can follow along if I'm allowed to do that. Yeah, so I posted that. It hasn't, yeah, it is working, I think. So essentially, not required to follow along, but it's nice. So essentially, what I have here on the right-hand side is just a simple web app. It is set to auto refresh every 10 seconds. So if you notice a flicker, that's what that is. At the moment, to the 100 people that we're working with, they're all experiencing the blue version of the feature. So what I want to do is actually just show you what this is. So if I want to change it from blue to green and do that big bang release where everyone's affected at the same time, I can. So as soon as I review and save the changes, I have it configured so it only happens on page load, but that has changed to, we've changed the feature for everybody. So in the idea of a progressive rollout, we want to release this to as few people as possible. So what a lot of companies will do is they'll be very specific. They will say, I want to test this in production and see what it looks like for a specific number. So I want to target the table cell is one of, and I just want to see the key is one of, and I'm going to just type in number 54 because I just saw that first. So I'm going to target the 54, set that to blue, and when I review and save the changes, just 54 should experience this. If I just refresh the page, so 54 is experiencing that one. But if that was a test account, that allows me to test it in production for that one individual user. So again, this table is meant to represent 100 different users of a website. Using our SDKs, you can target specific test counts. In this case, I only want table cell number 54 to experience the new feature. I can provide a list of these as well and target like a list of whatever that might be. So I can add in number 64 and then 42, just keeping with what people want to see. Review and save the changes, and those three will experience that on the next page refresh. So you have 42, 54, and 64. So that's very powerful in itself, gradually rolling out, being very specific on who's experiencing what. Usually you would target a test account, maybe it's an email address, or some customers we work with target people from within their network. All of that's possible using LaunchDarkly. The next thing I want to do is just show you a progressive rollout in terms of percentage rollout. So that idea again of I'm going to do a manual percentage rollout just to show you what that looks like. So I want to roll out to 1% green and then 99% blue. So only one user will be randomly allocated that feature, just leaving it down to our percentage rollout algorithm. When I refresh the page, it's just number 62 is experiencing it. And then we can see how that goes for them using guarded rollouts, which I'll show you next. But this is all about the ability to deploy code to production, decouple it from your release, do a progressive rollout down to the 1%, although our platform does support 0.01%. I don't have that many table cells. But let's say I wanted to roll out to 25%. I can do that as well. And the next time there, you'll see about 25% of users will be experiencing that change randomized across your system. But every time I refresh the page, it's the same 25% will be experiencing that feature. So I am refreshing that every second manually. But it's the same people would experience that, given that consistent experience, unlike the traditional ring deployments where you have one container being released to one container or load balancer randomly allocating traffic, whereas in LaunchDarkly, the same users will experience the same feature. And then obviously, you'll get to the stage where you're rolling out to everybody. So you're going to roll out fully green to everybody. And whenever you're happy, but the strategy of rolling forward and rolling back, creating ring releases, matching your strategies, that's all the progressive delivery that LaunchDarkly offers. And we have offered for a long time, but it's very important to kind of start off there with progressive rollouts. Once you have progressive rollouts, the next stage is that monitoring. So I'm going to jump into a guarded rollout and how we do error monitoring for browser. So we just started doing error monitoring for browser. Apologies, this is the tab I wanted. So I have a demo website where when I log in, it is a toggle bank website. We've released this new wealth management feature. So I'm going to start now with that system. As soon as I get to view the account details, I'm actually experiencing an error. So just click there. We recently launched a browser error monitoring system. So we have a library that monitors errors that are happening in front end. And we are reporting them back to LaunchDarkly in our error monitoring UI. So I just caused that error less than a minute ago. We've actually seen it happen a few times and it's affected 2 users. So we have a whole error monitoring facility available for JavaScript as a first system, but I can see what the stack trace is for that, the breadcrumbs leading up to the issue that they experienced, and even understand who did this impact. For this error instance, I'm actually seeing it was this person. I'm based in Dublin, so we actually chose to capture that data, but you choose what data is sent to LaunchDarkly. Usually it's a customer ID or, in my last example, a table cell. You can understand who is being impacted from that view. You can share this around your through Slack by just copying it to a link and sending it to other people. And in the future, what's on a roadmap is the ability to see a video replay of the steps leading up to that error. So whenever you're releasing with LaunchDarkly, you can do that gradual rollout. If there's a problem, you can roll back and forward, matching your strategy. We'll also do error monitoring for JavaScript. And then the last thing I want to show you was our guarded rollouts. So guarded rollouts, you'll see this in all feature flags in the LaunchDarkly UI. Whenever you're working with any flag, you'll get the option to start a guarded rollout. What a guarded rollout is, and just for this example here, is it's going to do a progressive delivery matching your requirements. So this is going to do a progressive delivery over 12 hours, let's say, where in step one, we'll roll out to 1%, then to 5%, and so on. And that will last for 2.4 hours per system, but this is customizable, matching your requirements. The two error metrics that we're going to be focused on is API error rates and API latency. We do integrate with OpenTelemetry to get things like latency. The error rate is quite easy to capture in code. So there's quite a lot there, basically. And as you're doing that progressive rollout, we'll compare that 1% to people who are not in that progressive rollout and let you know if there's a difference between the two. So we do automatic regression analysis, and you can tick a box to choose to automatically roll it back. There's also the option to set custom thresholds, saying that if the API latency goes above 5% or the API error rates go above 5%, then you can roll back. So you can go in there and change those to those. And then you can start that rollout. Because I don't have 12 hours to show you all this, I'm going to go to the ones that I've ran earlier. So I'm going to focus on the ones that I've ran earlier, which are here. So this is one I ran earlier, which was actually changing, because feature flags in LaunchDarkly can control anything. This is actually changing the AI model behind a system. So we actually got to 50% traffic of the progressive rollout. 321 users experienced the new feature in this rollout. So 321, which was 50% of the traffic at the time. We detected an issue with the latency. So you can see where the latency was pretty good, but then it spiked up, possibly due to traffic increase over time. And essentially, you can see what the difference from control is, what the actual latency was of 63 milliseconds, and that we had the automatic rollback on. But essentially, the information is here. We rolled back because it breached the automatic regression analysis that we provide. So we stopped it at the 50% mark. We then notified you through PagerDuty or through Slack. So just, I actually turned off Slack, but you do get Slack notifications saying that there is a regression detected and we chose to roll back. Or you can receive these notifications and then go into LaunchDarkly and choose to do a partial rollback or a completely disable the flag. So there's lots of options available to you. But the other example then I have is one that was run successfully. So there is one that was run successfully in this other tab. So in terms of guarded rollouts, we do provide you an overview of everything that's in the middle of a guarded rollout as well. So this database change here that we're monitoring with a guarded rollout, I believe this completed in good time. So I'm just waiting for that to load. So yeah, we ran this on February 19th, which is almost a month ago. We rolled 100% of traffic. 8 people were in this rollout, but there was no issues detected. So this completed, and it's working fine ever since. But we monitor that for the chosen time frame, and that is the data that we received at the time. As in, like, it was very small error rates, 0.17, and then the latency was. It seems as if we sent the metrics as 0 there. So that is an overview of the new features in the UI matching guarded rollouts. I mentioned the fact that we have a browser telemetry agent that we only launched a few weeks ago. So if you search our documentation for telemetry integrations, it will be there. At the moment, it's JavaScript, but we will be adding more in the future. I think we're moving to mobile as the next one. So now I'm going to go back to my slides, which are here, and just kind of answer one of the kind of key questions we're getting from customers. The question is, how do I set up metrics? Can I use my existing ones from Datadog? So as I talked about in the earlier slide, when you are using traditional observability tools, there is missing context on which feature caused the problem. So let's say you're working in a large application where you've many different features going out daily, understanding which feature caused the impact. And with the metrics that Datadog provides, they provide average metrics over a whole application. Whereas with LaunchDarkly, our aim is to give you the context, literally saying which user experienced what feature in comparison in that progressive rollout, and then automatically roll back for you based on that data. The data that other observability tools collect wouldn't be detailed enough. We are looking into it, seeing if we can append the Datadog information and if we can work with them on metrics. But at the moment, the metrics that Datadog create can't be used for release observability. So we recommend that you start with metrics using our SDK and then bring your own. So I've covered the browser error monitoring and how you can see stack traces and breadcrumbs, as well as we're working on session replays, the video aspect. So like, as I mentioned, traditional metrics are low fidelity, and the metrics that we provide are enriched for release observability specifically. The kind of metrics that people capture. So obviously we've talked a lot about error monitoring, but also latency is something that we captured. We do take in metrics from OTel. So we do provide OTel agents that will append the data going into your OpenTelemetry collector. And then from your OpenTelemetry collector, you can send that data to LaunchDarkly. So we've done that work with OTel, and we're looking into it for other vendors such as Datadog, New Relic, AppDynamics, etc. And then also something that some of our customers do as well is, because it's not just, you can send us any metric, it's not just technical metrics such as errors or latency, but you can also do guarded rollouts on conversion metrics, making sure people are able to make payments. So let's say, for example, you have a website and people make payments, and if payments go down, you can actually set up the guarded rollout to roll back if your business metrics are regressing. So I did show you the auto-generated front-end errors. So we collect error telemetry and start and guarded releases. That was only launched 2 weeks ago. So keep a lookout for that. To get access to that, you need to be part of our early access programs, which you can request from within the UI. And we also talked about how you can send metrics via the SDK as well. So what that looks like, just to jump into it, all of our SDKs support these metrics. But it's called custom event tracking. It's the same SDK calls. And for example, if I wanted to look at the JavaScript example, it is a simple client.track call. You name your event, possibly error rate or errors, and then you can add extra data if you want to. That will be visible in the error trace as well. And it's the same as well across all of our SDKs. For example, if you are on Java, it's similar client.track. So no matter what the metrics are, we do have code you can send them to us in code. We take those events and convert them into a metric for analysis in our guarded rollouts. And then the roadmap for Guardian Edition, right now, guarded releases is available for all customers to evaluate. So on a new account, you will get access to guarded releases. If it's an existing customer, you can contact your account manager to learn more and trial it out. So in the top of this meeting, there is a Meet with LaunchDarkly button. So if you do want to try this out, please notify them. We have early access programs for the error monitoring. So the error monitoring is an early access program, which I believe you can request through the UI, but you can definitely contact your account manager about accessing this, and they'll be able to set you up for that. And then finally, session replay is also a early access feature, but this is the roadmap for the next 6 months, and we'll be announcing a lot more at Galaxy, which we have a slide for at the end. Galaxy is our user conference happening on May 14th. So with that, we are moving into the Q&A section. Hopefully there are lots of questions. So just on the questions, I do see a very specific question. Is there an integration with New Relic? So I can talk about our existing integrations with New Relic, which are not related to guarded releases, but very similar. So with New Relic, we do have multiple integrations. So if you look in our documentation for New Relic, the 3 things that we do, so something we've had for a long time is flag triggers. So with any observability tool, you can configure an alert to be sent to LaunchDarkly as long as your observability tool sends a webhook, such as New Relic does. You can send that webhook to LaunchDarkly and enable or disable a feature flag with that webhook. So we have that integration with New Relic. So there's that. We have an events system as well. So anytime you do anything in the LaunchDarkly UI, you can export those log events about changing flags, turning on and off, whatever the changes were. We can export that to New Relic, so you can monitor that and look at it in dashboards in New Relic. And then there was a New Relic one. I'm not sure if deployment marker still exists in New Relic, but we did have a deployment marker system for New Relic. Allow me to point out the deployment. So we did create a system that allows you to see, this is the old New Relic UI, it's a very old UI, but essentially we did have a system where every time you made a change in LaunchDarkly, like turning on a flag, that we would make a deployment marker in the New Relic interface. So there is plenty of integrations with New Relic. Just recapping, there's flag triggers, there is the events, so the autolog will be available in New Relic, and then also we had a deployment marker system with New Relic as well, but I'm not sure if that is available in New Relic 1. So the question as well, will the front-end error tracking features work if LD is used through open feature? That's a great question. So the answer is potentially. So open feature is supported by LaunchDarkly. Open feature is a simplified feature flagging system. We provide a server-side open feature because the client-side open feature is experimental, as in they don't fully, it's experimental on their side. So with this though, whenever you're using LaunchDarkly and you're using a open feature provides a code base, and then in the background, you're using a LaunchDarkly provider. All of the methods and things that you would want to use with LaunchDarkly are still available to use. So you can use open feature for delivering feature flags, but then also when it comes to sending data back to LaunchDarkly for guarded rollouts like the client.track call, that would still be available because it's available from the provider. So all code is still available to open feature users. But it does mean you're using LaunchDarkly code directly. So if you have strict requirements to only use open feature code, then it would not be available to you. But if you wanted to use a combination of the two, then it would be available. So that's how that works. So just to repeat again, if there's any kind of questions you have, just add them to the chat. If you are looking to get access to guarded rollouts or everything like that. If you don't have access at the moment, you can click on guarded rollouts. If you don't have access, it will pop up saying contact your account manager or request access to early access system. So if you go into the UI and click on guarded rollouts, that will be there. A kind of question we get asked as well by a lot of companies is, does guarded rollouts replace observability? And the truth is, we work alongside observability because you'll still need all of that logging data. It's primarily the logging data that you still need. But when it comes to trying to resolve issues and improving your mean time to resolution and mean time to detection, we massively improve that because this is the current situation with observability tools. You get an alert and you have all the data for you to troubleshoot all of these problems. Like our typical engagement here would be, you have a problem, you roll back the feature flag once you figure out which feature flag is a problem, but with guided rollout, we will point out which one is a problem. Then when it comes to recreating the data, that's the problem. You would turn on the feature flag for your test accounts and do that smoke test in production using that rollout flag that we talked about. So targeting, a specific test account, reproduce the error in production, get all the logs directly from production without impacting any other customers. So there is a question long-term about whether or not LaunchDarkly will replace observability. I think it will in the future, but that's my opinion. And with that, I think we don't have any other questions about LaunchDarkly. I will follow up with that. There is a banner at the bottom about registering for a LaunchDarkly conference called Galaxy, which is happening in May 14th, I believe. So I'm just going to click on that link. So essentially, this link here. So that is happening on May 14th. If you register, you will get access to all the recordings afterwards. We have some great speakers from ourselves and from other companies. And it's going to be a great event. I think we're good to close off the webinar, unless there's any more questions. Thanks for the questions that came in so far. Thanks, everybody.